because it was part of this.
Welcome, Your Excellencies. Karibuni sana. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
This forum brings together policymakers as well as business leaders from the 21 Comesa member states, and this is an important step in our regional integration journey. Your presence here today signifies your individual and collective commitment to Comesa and your recognition of the critical role intra-regional trade plays as a driver of economic development and progress. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as Africa embraces the movement towards a borderless territory under the recently launched Africa Continental Free Trade Area, the business communities, both regionally and globally, eagerly await the benefits of trade that will come not only with expanded markets, but with the opportunities for rapid development and access as well to innovation and technology. The desire for economic integration follows from the ambitious and political vision of African leaders as stipulated in the 1980 Lagos Action Plan, the Abuja Treaty of 1991, and the African Union Agenda 2063, which is Africa's blueprint and master plan for transforming our continent into a global powerhouse of the future. This high-level business summit provides a platform for public-private engagement on some of the constraints that businesses face when trading across our Comesa region. Political leaders and policymakers will have the direct opportunity to interface with business leaders and captains of industry so as to develop solutions that will help overcome these challenges. It is indeed my hope that we will come up with innovative and practical strategies to promote industrialization and enhance trade in our region. This summit, too, is being attended by some of our parliamentarians, who I believe will keenly be following the discussions and whom we also believe will provide the support required when translating these proposals into national and regional legislation. I am also delighted that this forum will launch the Source 21 Comesa Handbook, which is a business facilitation tool that aims to inform businesses, traders, SMEs, investors, and others on the various market opportunities across the Comesa countries. This forum will also introduce the 50 million Women Speak project that aims to empower women entrepreneurs across Africa by providing financial and non-financial information to help them grow their businesses. Today, as a country, Kenya has achieved tremendous progress in reducing the cost of doing business and improving the overall investment environment. In particular, we have maintained a stable macroeconomic environment by promoting appropriate regulatory policies that not only support business, but also attract higher volumes of foreign direct investment. Kenya, as one of the larger economies in Comesa, and among the leading importers and exporters, particularly for agricultural products, who also are amongst the world's leading exporters of tea, but also among the top 3 Comesa exporters of horticulture and floriculture. And in addition, our own manufacturing sector, being one of the strongest in the region, with links to both East, Southern, and Northern Africa. I would therefore wish to take this opportunity to encourage more companies to invest in Kenya's wide range of lucrative investment opportunities that exist across various sectors, including infrastructure development, agribusiness, manufacturing, and financial services. And I also assure investors that Kenya continues to pursue a free enterprise economy and aims at building the strongest industrial base in our sub-region. And I do believe that with a sound economic base as well as a well-trained workforce, we can become a destination for this that is ripe for foreign investment. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would wish, in conclusion, to draw all your attention to the fact that one of Comesa's key objectives is to promote joint development in all fields of economic activity and the joint adoption of macroeconomic policies and programs to raise the standard of living of all its people and to foster closer working relations among all its members. This is not an easy objective to attain, but I do hope that our deliberations in the next few days will focus on how we can spur the rapid growth of our economies through trade and improve the lives of ordinary citizens. Therefore, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, with these very few and brief remarks, indeed it is my singular honor to declare the Source 21 Comesa International Trade Fair and a high-level business summit officially open, and I wish you all good deliberations, successful outcomes, and I thank you for your attention, and may God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your wonderful opening remarks.
As we work towards seamless regional and continental integration, we must remember that we not only seek a better business environment for our large enterprises who are represented here, but also expansion of our small and medium businesses, as well as employment creation for our young people. Africa is a young continent with about 60% of our population under 25. All our efforts to increase intra-Africa trade must also therefore seek to generate decent and well-paying jobs for the millions of educated, talented, and energetic young people in our continent. And today, I encourage you all to spend considerable time during this forum on how we can actualize this important goal. In terms of consumer base, the Comesa market accounts for 520 million people, while the tripartite free trade area and the Africa Continental Free Trade Area account for 630 million and 1.2 billion people, respectively. However, despite the size of population, the continent has only exploited less than 16% of intra-Africa trade's potential. Truth be told, that the situation is not better in Comesa. The share of intra-Comesa trade in goods of its total trade currently stands at just 7%. It is also unfortunate that most common products traded within our markets are still raw minerals and traditional commodities with little or no value addition that is undertaken in Africa, notwithstanding the fact that Africa has the largest number of young consumers in the world. This is the situation that the Africa Free Trade Area attempts to remedy by facilitating higher product diversification and higher levels of progress. Our continent is full of resources, products, markets, and services that can propel interstate business to rival established configurations in Europe, America, as well as Asia.
The subject of the conference was, what are the stimuli that can make make Africa prosperous? Really, that's the topic. What I've been watching since the 1960s, because I've been here for some time, is that the mistake is that is made is that you take a unidimensional approach. The World Bank, the universities, at different times emphasize one point: education. If we get education, everything will be all right. So they educate people, but the people they educate have no jobs because they didn't deal with other things. Now, if you only talk about trade facilitation, I don't want to fall in that trap, because what Africa has got, after watching for a long time, because actually it was a dilemma, why Africa is so rich and yet so poor. So after careful study for a long time, we came to the conclusion that there were a number of bottlenecks. It was not one bottleneck that you had to deal with. We had about 10 of them, and we identified them. One of them we are talking about now is one of them: market integration. If you produce, where do you sell? Is the market of Uganda of 41 million people enough to support large-scale production? No, it is not. So this fragmented market must be integrated. That one is for sure. Now I think people are now getting agreed on that. Recently I was in China to talk to the ministers of Africa who were there. And I told them, I said, how can we be so short-sighted? China has got an internal market of 1.3 billion people. Yet they are fighting for other markets. They are fighting with America for additional market. Somebody with 1.3 billion internal market guaranteed, that market is not enough. He's looking for more market, more market, more markets. And here we are very satisfied with 41 million people of Uganda. This is really very serious. So, fragmented market was one of the bottlenecks which we are handling. But how about what His Excellency was talking about? The costs of doing business. Even if the market is integrated, if you don't solve the problems of the cost pushers, things which make the production costly, are you going to be competitive in that market? Or are you going to integrate it for others? So that's why you must identify those cost pushers and deal with them. That is, for instance, transport, infrastructure, transport, electricity, the cost of money. All these are cost pushers, which will make it impossible for our business people to be competitive. And then the little issue they were talking about in the 1960s then also comes in, the human resource development. education for health. Of course, if you don't have an educated population, that is also another problem. But that one, fortunately, many African countries have addressed. Now the question is what sort of education? It's not just literacy anymore, it is literacy plus skills and the fourth industrial revolution that we are talking about now, the artificial intelligence, and so on. So the bottlenecks, how about the politics? How about the politics? If you push politics of identity, and you therefore cause sectarianism in the society and conflict, how would the trade take place? So these strategic bottlenecks, there are 10 of them. I have written about them. The documents are available. The other time when we were here for TICAD, I could see the Japanese were wondering, these Africans, they are so rich, but yet they are so poor. But they don't know how to, they are polite, they don't want to tell you, but you can see a question in their heads. I think they were coming to the conclusion that there must be something genetically wrong with these Africans. How can you be poor in such a rich continent? There must be something wrong with you. So when I detected the one in the Japanese heads, I said to help them because I've been watching for a long time. I said, Japanese, don't worry. These Africans are not genetically incapable, but they have been having these bottlenecks. If they solve them, they will move.
As Kenya, we prepared our digital blueprint, which we released. And if you recall the statements that I said, is that our hope was that it would also prove as to be a case study for other countries to see what they can build on, add, or help even improve our own document. Because at the end of the day, when we digitize, we improve transparency, we improve accountability, and we open up our system. But if we want to integrate the continent, we have to be at the same level also with regard to our digitization, so that the processes that we're using in Kenya have interconnectivity with the processes that are being used in Uganda, in Zambia, in Mauritius, and elsewhere. And this helps then not only reduce costs of doing business, but creates that much more transparency, even as we are discussing, for example, rules of origin. You are able, through that platform, to be able to access data and information on different products that are made, that are available on the continent. We are able to even transact on the digital platform, right? And there is no reason why, for example, a Kenyan supermarket cannot buy directly products from a Zambian farmer. So integrating our digital platforms is going to be a critical element, not only to create transparency and openness and accountability, but also to help, as President Lungu has said here, to also help our SMEs establish market share in other distant countries. Because on the digital platform, you're able to see, I'm looking for pencils, or I'm looking for shoes, or you're able to see what is available across the African continent using that platform. Not only pay for it, but also have it shipped to you wherever you are on the continent. So the more we integrate, the more we learn from each other. At current, we are all at different levels of digitizing our systems and our economies. But we need to continue working together, enhancing and building on each other's experiences until we ultimately have a connected Africa. And that connected Africa will not only reduce cost of doing business, but will also create that much more harmony so that our traders, especially small and medium-sized enterprises, will be able to have access to the 1.3 billion people that President Museveni was referring to.
I think most African countries in the AFCTA have got a huge share of SMEs. And I think they stand to benefit from this common free trade area. But there is a condition. The condition is that each government should have the political will to support the SMEs. Because the SMEs left alone will not be able to penetrate the market, no matter how you make it even for them. Because there's competition. Now competition simply means that it will be free for all. So we as states, individual states, should have a deliberate policy to support, promote, and incentivize these SMEs so that they are able to partake of this huge market. Otherwise, it will be a big market, free for all, but for the big boys. It means that politically, obviously, our existence will be threatened. so it's very, very important that we all take stock, we have a balance, we coordinate, and we have dialogue, interstate dialogue, like President Uhuru Kenyatta said, in the region of East Africa. Obviously, we take Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, and Burundi. We put them together and see how do we help these SMEs integral as a region, and then how do they fit in the bigger picture of Comesa, the bigger picture of the AFCTA. Otherwise, the intended objective is exactly what is going to be achieved. But if we don't do that, no matter how we talk about tariffs and all these things, it will be in vain. So big contracts should be structured in such a manner that SMEs are given space to grow. And for them to grow, obviously, they have to bear quality and they have to have the desired product at the end. So it's for us as government to support them. If we don't, this whole thing will become again another open door for the rest of the world to come and feast on Africa. That's how we see it. And I think political will has been demonstrated. People have signed the documents, and this has been a long journey. Pan-Africanism started a long time ago, but we are now culminating into realizing the forum which will give us a chance to grow our own economy as Africans and trade within Africa. But as long as we don't do the local thing in Kenya, the local thing in East Africa, the local thing in Zambia and in SADC, this will be another exercise in futility. I think we have made a number of laws intended to regulate and see to it that there's fairness in the business. But again, we have to test these laws, and we test them as we go into this free trade area. But the most important thing is to dialogue with these entities which are coming into the country to ensure that where you see leakages and hemorrhage, you tell them midstream, say, look, you can't continue getting this huge chunk of our resource without paying back. I think Zambia has stood firm. We have said we can review our policies midway. We sit and dialogue with you as an investor, and we negotiate a change midstream. And people have said inconsistency. They've said policy inconsistency. It's not policy inconsistency. If you're leading an army of men to battle and you see them perishing at every corner, you pull back and begin saying, look, what have we done wrong? So Africans should not be misled by those who are investing by saying, no, we're not coming home to invest in your country because we're inconsistent, when you can see leakages and the bleeding of the economy. No, you have to stop the boat midstream and say, look, we can't go on like this, guys. We need to take stock of what you're getting out and what you're leaving behind. And I think on that score, I'd urge all of us in Africa to stand firm and to support each other. When I'm ailing in Zambia, it doesn't mean that Tanzania will not be affected. Let's be our brothers' keepers. And I think that's the way to proceed.
To help SMEs integrate and benefit from regional and continental integration, we must promote policies and measures that will improve the business climate. For example, eliminate barriers to SMEs in obtaining licenses and business permits to set up their businesses. The ease of doing business of the World Bank is a good indicator on how well countries are doing, and Mauritius is doing fairly well. We have to facilitate access to finance, and in Mauritius, the government actively participates in setting up funds for the SMEs through the government bank, MoBank, and to some extent also through the State Bank of Mauritius. And currently, there is a national payment system which is being introduced to enable SMEs to have immediate access to cash for their transactions. And we have also introduced the regulatory sandbox license, whereby several digital lending platforms have been launched, such as crowdfunding. Also, we need to have flexible measures in taxation. But most importantly, we have to enable, to have flexible rules of origin that can enable SMEs, for example, to import parts from across the world and make value addition, produce in Africa, African products. But question is directed to Mauritius, and in Mauritius, all these facilities that we're giving provides a level playing field between the large corporates and the SMEs who can integrate the larger economy. Another practice which is emerging is for government allocates a percentage of public procurement, that was in your question, to SMEs. So the SMEs have a share in contracts that are allocated by government. So these will help them to significantly promote their trade.
The sheer imperative that you create value, you create jobs in Africa by how much African content is in what you sell. The Comesa region, the EAC region, for example, already started dealing with the issues of how do we measure local content as a condition for market access. And the Africa Continental Free Trade Area is going to be made or broken on the basis of how much do we give preference to made in Africa. If you have a clear method of rules of origin, goods given an African passport, having preference in Africa, you will not have that sourcing going on for too long. A lot of the sources will invest in producing that content in Africa. But it has been the political will and the technical capacity to enforce clear rules of origin. Deal with that. And secondly, deal with the harmonization of tariffs. One strength that Comesa has over the rest of Africa, you have the most advanced harmonization effort, particularly when you're going through the tripartite negotiations. Let that knowledge inform the rest of Africa. Let this region be the champions of harmonizing rules in order to integrate the market. Once you take care of that and you actually effectively prefect anti-dumping from third parties, the rest can follow.